Good morning, Blast Boys and Girls. It's Mrs. Ellen, and I'm here with my friend Sunshine. And today we are going to look at the first two verses of Romans 12 and talk a little bit about what it means. There it says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the good, well-pleasing, and the perfect will of God." Well, first let's look at a couple of the words in there. Conform is a fancy word for copying something or someone else so that you are the same or similar in appearance and actions. Here's a simple little science experiment to illustrate that you can do at home with the permission and supervision of your parents. Put a short piece of celery stick in a glass jar with some water to which you've added some food coloring, and then watch over the next few days how the celery stick absorbs the water and the food coloring starts to show in different places on the stick. So you can see that there. The celery does not filter the blue dye. Instead, it accepts the dye, and so the celery conforms to or copies the blue color in its appearance. And then there's the word transform, which is just a fancy word for change, especially as in changing from one thing to something totally different, like the Transformer toys that you might have at home, and like caterpillars to butterflies. Well, one day Stephanie clapped her hand over her mouth as she came into the kitchen. As her mother took out the coffee pot to make her morning coffee, she looked at her daughter. "See that you don't use that word again," she said sternly. "I'm sorry, Mom," apologized Stephanie. "I didn't mean to say it, but I hear it so often at school." She watched as her mom put a white paper into the coffee pot. "What's that white thing for?" she asked. "This is a filter," said her mom. "It lets the water through but keeps the coffee grounds from going into the coffee. That makes me think of how we need a filter for our minds if we want to live a life that's pleasing to God. Now imagine if I put garbage into the coffee pot and expected the filter to make it fit to drink." "Yuck," said Stephanie. "Yes, yuck indeed," said Mom, as they sat down to breakfast. "In the same way I wouldn't dump garbage into my coffee pot filter and expect to get a good cup of coffee, we shouldn't dump garbage into our minds on purpose. God tells us in the Bible that we should keep away or avoid any form of evil, like TV programs, movies, and video games that show ungodly lifestyles and use terrible language. Kind of the way the monarch caterpillar eats only milkweed and avoids what all the other caterpillars eat because that's not good for its body to change or transform into a monarch butterfly." And then, Stephanie, I also realize that we can't always avoid all the things we hear, see, and think that are not good for us. But when we see someone do or say something wrong, we don't have to copy them and do it too. That's where it's great to have a filter, and the Bible gives us a good verse that can help us to filter ungodly language or bad influences of people we can't avoid. It's Philippians 4:8, where it says that we should think about things that are true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, and respected. Excellent and praiseworthy things of good report. This verse can help us to not conform to those who are talking and acting ungodly. But sometimes, Stephanie, it may seem like we are missing out on the fun stuff or the cool stuff because of that filter. But in those cases, avoiding and filtering the bad influences is like a living sacrifice of obedience to God that the first verse in Romans 12 talks about, as we focus on keeping only the thoughts and ideas that are good for us in our minds and in our actions. When we use a godly filter, it will help us change into the kind of people God wants us to be, and He can use to serve others. "Wow, Mom," said Stephanie. "Thanks for helping me understand the difference between conforming and transforming. I didn't realize I was beginning to be a conformist. Now, every time I smell coffee, I'm going to remember your great tip about what kind of filter I need, so I will change into who God wants me to be." What about you? Do you find yourself automatically saying or doing something you know is wrong? Is that how you want to be? If not, ask Jesus today to help you filter out the negative things and instead focus your mind on only good, positive, and godly thoughts and ideas so that you will start to change into the kind of person who is pleasing to God. And now it's time to say goodbye. Sunshine, and I hope every time you see a celery stick or a monarch butterfly, you will be reminded that God wants us to be transformed into His people. Bye for now. See you next time.